I spent 42 years laying concrete, framing heavy houses, and reading complex blueprints for a living. And in all those 4 long decades, I learned one universal, undeniable truth. If you fail to inspect the foundation properly, the entire structure will eventually collapse directly onto your head. I just never expected that the people holding the heavy sledgehammer would be my own son and his incredibly arrogant wife. They genuinely believed that I was just a tired, feeble old man with stiff joints and failing hearing, sitting all alone in a spacious 4-bedroom farmhouse, simply passing the time until I was gone. They thought they could quietly strip away my late wife's legacy right out from under me, sell it to the highest commercial bidder, and use the fast cash to float their absurdly expensive lifestyle. They made a fatal, tragic error because they forgot to inspect the legal foundation. And by the time they realized the massive, inescapable trap they had walked into, it was far too late for them to recover. Before I tell you exactly how I completely dismantled their greedy scheme, piece by piece, please leave a quick comment down below and let me know where in the world you are listening from today. I truly appreciate reading every single response from you guys. And if you believe that people who betray their own family deserve every bit of karma that comes their way, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and settle in, because this story is one you definitely do not want to miss. My name is Arthur Pendleton, though anyone who ever shared a thermos of black coffee with me on a freezing 6 a.m. job site simply called me Artie. I am 71 years old now, retired after a lifetime of running Pendleton & Sons General Contracting out of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. When you build heavy structures from the ground up for over 4 decades, you develop an absolute obsession with fine details. If a floor joist down in the basement is off by even 1/4 of an inch, a door on the 2nd story will refuse to close properly 10 years down the road. Details matter, and in my line of work, overlooking a tiny detail can ruin everything you built. My wife, Sarah, was the absolute soul of our home and my entire world. We shared 46 wonderful, peaceful years of marriage before aggressive pancreatic cancer stole her away from me 3 winters ago. Sarah left behind 22 acres of pristine, rolling farmland, a warm stone house, and a 90-year-old timber barn that still carried the lingering scent of aged cedar and fresh hay. That land was her family's true bloodline. Her grandfather had purchased it during the desperate, harsh days of the Great Depression, and Sarah had poured her sweat into keeping those fields vibrant, rich, and green. Together, Sarah and I raised one child, a boy named Marcus. Growing up, Marcus was a great kid. He used to follow me around active, noisy job sites, wearing a plastic toy hard hat that was far too large for his head, happily hammering bent nails into random scraps of lumber. But as he grew older, the physical labor and honest sweat of blue-collar work completely lost its charm for him. Marcus wanted fast results, effortless luxury, and big money. He went off to a private university, earned a business degree in corporate marketing, and gradually began looking down on the very calloused hands that had paid for his entire education. Then came Vanessa. If pure, unchecked ambition had a facial expression, it would look exactly like Vanessa. She was all about high-end real estate, $1,000 designer handbags, and icy, practiced smiles. To her, I was nothing more than an uneducated handyman who smelled perpetually of sawdust and heavy diesel fuel. She never had the nerve to insult me directly to my face, but she had a habit of staring at my old work boots with absolute disgust, as if I had just dragged a carcass into her pristine living room. When Sarah passed away, the light in my life went out for a very, very long time. I officially retired, handed the daily operations of the contracting business over to my trusted foreman, and spent my quiet days repairing boundary fences, tending to Sarah's rose bushes, and learning to live with the deafening silence of an empty home. Marcus and Vanessa lived in an exclusive, gated community about 20 minutes down the road. They rarely bothered to visit me, unless, of course, they needed financial assistance or a quick favor. The ultimate turning point occurred last November, during Thanksgiving dinner at my house. I had spent 3 full days preparing the meal entirely from scratch. I polished Sarah's old silverware, made her famous garlic mashed potatoes, and roasted a massive turkey. I genuinely wanted my family together under one roof. Present that afternoon were Marcus, Vanessa, and their 16-year-old son, Leo. Halfway through the dinner, I stood up from the table to fetch the ceramic gravy boat from the kitchen counter. As I was carefully ladling warm gravy into the dish, Vanessa's sharp, piercing voice echoed clearly from the nearby dining room. She whispered aggressively, telling Marcus that the local real estate market was peaking and that developers were practically drooling over 22 prime acres in Lancaster County. She insisted they could easily fetch nearly $2 million for the raw land. My hand froze completely still over the gravy boat. Marcus immediately hissed back at her, warning her to quiet down because I was standing just inside the kitchen. Vanessa merely scoffed in response. She told him that my hearing was practically ruined, from 40 years of exposure to heavy machinery and power tools anyway. She then pointed out that I was shuffling around slowly and taking minutes just to climb the stairs. She coldly stated that I was one bad fall away from breaking a hip, and that they desperately needed to look into a cheap facility called Sunny Acres over in Ephrata. She explicitly said that they could use a legal power of attorney to clear the land title, sell the entire estate to a commercial firm, and use the massive profit to wipe out their own growing personal debts. Marcus hesitated for a brief second, muttering weakly that it was his mother's precious land. But Vanessa instantly shut him down. She reminded him that his mother was gone, and that they had an impending $40,000 balloon payment due on their own mortgage in March. She aggressively asked him if he was willing to lose their own home, just so his father could play farmer in a drafty old house. Standing silently by the kitchen counter, clutching that warm porcelain gravy boat, every drop of blood in my body turned to ice. It was not merely the staggering betrayal that hurt. It was the absolute, casual dehumanization to my own son and his wife. I was no longer a father, a provider, or a human being who had worked himself to the bone for decades. I was simply an inconvenient obstacle, standing between them and a massive payday. My heart pounded furiously in my chest, and a burning wave of rage surged up my neck. My immediate impulse was to charge back into that dining room, flip the heavy wooden table, and throw both of them off my porch. But 40 years as a master builder had taught me an invaluable lesson. You never swing a heavy sledgehammer when you are blinded by rage. You step back, you analyze the blueprints, and you measure every single angle twice. I took a slow, deep breath, carefully wiped my face, and stepped back out into the dining room. With a polite, vacant smile on my face, I placed the gravy boat on the table, offered them seconds, and played the part of the oblivious old man. They did not suspect a single thing. Early the very next morning, I drove straight into town to consult with my lifelong real estate attorney and close personal friend, Walter Vance. Walter and I had grown up together, and he knew the intricate property laws of Lancaster County better than anyone alive. I sat down in his quiet, leather-lined office and explained every single word I had overheard in the kitchen. Walter shook his head in absolute disgust, acknowledging how cruel their behavior was. But he assured me that legally, they could not touch the farm while I was alive and mentally sound. He reminded me that the property deed was held squarely in my name and Sarah's living trust, which had fully transferred to me upon her passing. I leaned across his desk and told Walter that Vanessa was cunning. I knew she would try to declare me mentally incapacitated to gain legal guardianship over my affairs. I asked him to help me lock down the property so securely that even if I were to pass away tomorrow, neither of them would ever profit from it. Walter leaned back in his leather chair, a slow grin spreading across his face. He informed me of a very unique legal anomaly concerning my land layout that we had never bothered to formally consolidate decades ago. He pulled up the official digital survey maps on his monitor. He explained that while the farm consisted of 22 acres, the 60-foot wide strip of land containing the main driveway, which was the only actual physical entry point connecting the property to the public highway, was deeded separately under Pendleton Industrial Holdings, the corporate entity I had created for my old construction business. It had never been officially merged into the Residential Farm Trust. That meant if anyone were to acquire the farm without securing an explicit legal easement over that driveway strip, they would end up owning 22 acres of completely landlocked property, with zero legal right to drive a vehicle across that front border to reach the road. A brilliant, cold strategy immediately took shape in my mind. I instructed Walter to arrange a comprehensive mental competency evaluation for me, with 2 independent, board-certified neurologists, and to lock those signed medical certificates inside a secure vault. Then, I told him that I was going to make my son and his wife believe that their sinister plan was succeeding flawlessly. Over the next 2 months, I put on the performance of a lifetime. Whenever Marcus came over to check on me, I intentionally acted confused. I would misplace my reading glasses, repeat the same basic questions, and struggle clumsily with simple household tasks. I watched the predatory spark of triumph grow in Vanessa's eyes every time she visited. She genuinely believed my mind was rapidly deteriorating and that I was completely at their mercy. Sure enough, in the middle of January, Marcus arrived at the farm alone. He looked visibly anxious, constantly adjusting his expensive tie and sweating profusely. He sat down across from me at the kitchen table and began his carefully rehearsed pitch. He told me that the big house was becoming far too difficult for me to manage alone, and that the staircase was a massive safety hazard. He mentioned a wonderful retirement community called Sunny Acres, where I could relax without any worries. He then slid a stack of legal documents across the table toward me. He claimed that the paperwork would simply transfer the property into a joint family trust, allowing him and Vanessa to handle the heavy burden of property maintenance and eventually manage a sale if I ever chose to move. I picked up the documents and looked down at them. It was a complete, unconditional property deed transfer, handing over the entire farm to their newly formed company, M&V Capital Holdings, for a nominal fee of just $10. I looked up into my son's eyes, desperately searching for any trace of the innocent boy who used to wear my toy hard hat on job sites. I found nothing. There was only desperate greed and cold calculation. I put on a trembling voice, let out a soft sigh, and picked up a pen with a deliberately shaky hand. I signed the main farm deed right in front of him. What Marcus completely failed to realize, because he was far too arrogant and far too cheap to hire a proper title research company, was the exact legal wording attached to the document. The transfer applied strictly to Parcel A, which contained the 22 acres and the house itself. It explicitly omitted Parcel B, the crucial driveway strip held under Pendleton Industrial Holdings. Marcus practically snatched the signed documents off the table. He was so consumed by triumph that he did not even wait 3 days before placing a massive commercial real estate sales sign directly at the entrance of my driveway. They did not even bother to help me pack a single box. Vanessa immediately reached out to a massive regional pharmacy corporation that had been searching for prime land to construct a huge store and parking facility. She locked in a cash purchase agreement for $2.1 million, contingent on a swift 30-day closing window and vacant possession of the land. Vanessa completely dropped her sweet facade. She called me on the phone and coldly informed me that the sale was finalized, that professional movers would arrive on the 1st of the month to clear out my personal belongings, and that a tiny studio room had been secured for me at Sunny Acres. She bluntly told me not to make things difficult. They were absolutely ecstatic. They believed they had outsmarted an old man, stripped him of his lifelong asset, locked him away in a budget nursing home, and secured over $2 million to clear their debts and fund their grand lifestyle. They had no idea that I was merely laying the final pieces of concrete for their complete destruction. The morning of the official real estate closing finally arrived. The high-stakes meeting was scheduled at the opulent corporate headquarters of the pharmacy chain's legal firm in downtown Lancaster. Marcus and Vanessa arrived early, dressed in expensive tailored outfits, casually sipping espresso in the executive boardroom, ready to sign the final deeds and receive their massive wire transfer. Present in the room were Mr. Bradley, the chief acquisition officer for the retail chain, alongside 3 corporate attorneys. Just as Marcus picked up an expensive pen to execute the final closing papers, the heavy wooden doors of the boardroom swung wide open. I walked directly into the room, wearing my working flannel shirt, dark jeans, sturdy leather boots, and my clean white construction hard hat. Walking right alongside me was my attorney, Walter Vance, accompanied by 2 uniformed local police officers. Vanessa instantly lost her composure, leaping out of her leather chair and screaming at Marcus, demanding to know why his father was not currently being dropped off at the nursing home. I looked at her, kept my voice completely steady, and told her to sit down and shut her mouth. Mr. Bradley looked deeply confused and asked who I was. I stepped up to the massive mahogany conference table, pulled a thick leather folder from under my arm, and dropped it right into the center of the table with a loud thud. I told him that my name was Arthur Pendleton, and that I was the absolute owner of the property they were attempting to purchase. Vanessa shrieked, insisting that they possessed the legal deed and that I was out of my mind. But Walter Vance calmly stepped forward, unrolling a set of official land surveys. He explained to the entire room that while M and V Capital Holdings did indeed hold the deed to Parcel A, Parcel B, the sole access strip connecting the land to the public road, was owned exclusively by Pendleton Industrial Holdings, a company in which I held 100% of the shares. The atmosphere in that boardroom instantly froze. The lead corporate attorney for the pharmacy chain quickly grabbed the land survey documents off the table. His eyes frantically darted across the maps, and within seconds, all the color drained entirely from his face. He turned toward Marcus and Vanessa with absolute fury, demanding to know if they had seriously attempted to sell them a landlocked parcel of land with zero legal road access. Marcus began stammering incoherently, sweating through his expensive shirt, frantically claiming that the driveway had to be included automatically. Walter calmly clarified that there was no easement on record whatsoever, and that as of 7 o'clock that very morning, I had exercised my full legal rights as the sole property owner of Parcel B. I leaned over the table, looked directly into Vanessa's terrified, wide eyes, and told her that my heavy construction crew had arrived at dawn. We had completely torn up the blacktop driveway, excavated a 6-foot-deep trench straight across the front perimeter, erected a heavy 8-foot steel security fence, and installed official no trespassing warnings. I informed her that no vehicle, bulldozer, or human being would ever cross that border again. Mr. Bradley slammed his pen onto the table in an absolute rage. He immediately ordered his legal team to cancel the wire transfer and terminate the contract on the spot, refusing to deal with fraudsters. Marcus dropped to his knees, openly begging me to grant them an easement, pleading that they would be completely ruined without the deal. I looked down at my son, feeling a profound sense of sadness, but zero regret. I reminded him that I had offered him a loving home and a warm family meal, while he had offered me a cheap bed in a facility to die in, just to pay off his luxury credit cards. Walter then laid a second thick document directly in front of Marcus. It was an official notification of a major lawsuit against Marcus, Vanessa, and their LLC for civil fraud and elder financial exploitation. Walter pointed out that my certified neurological evaluations proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that I was completely sane, meaning their manipulative actions were fully documented criminal acts. Furthermore, we were filing for immediate legal rescission to revoke the transfer of Parcel A entirely. Vanessa collapsed backward into her leather chair, hyperventilating violently as her entire world completely shattered around her. The $2 million deal was officially dead. Their $40,000 mortgage deadline was rapidly approaching, and they were now facing massive legal costs and criminal scrutiny. I tapped the brim of my hard hat, wished them a wonderful day, and walked out of the corporate office, listening to the echoing sound of Vanessa hysterically screaming at Marcus as their entire greedy foundation collapsed into dust. It has been 6 long months since that decisive morning in downtown Lancaster. Marcus and Vanessa were forced to declare complete personal bankruptcy, losing their expensive home in the gated community to foreclosure and moving into a cramped, noisy 2-bedroom apartment situated right next to the city rail line. Marcus now works 2 exhausting jobs just to stay afloat and cover his mounting legal expenses. As for myself, I am right where I belong, back on our family farm. Sarah's roses are blooming beautifully this season. The front entrance has been completely restored, and the quiet peace of the countryside has never felt more rewarding. If there is one crucial lesson to take away from my story, it is simply this: never attempt to pull the rug out from under the generation that built the very house you are standing in. If you found this story satisfying and enjoyed seeing justice served, please hit that like button, leave your thoughts in the comments section below, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories every single week. Thank you so much for listening, and take great care of yourselves out there.